Charter Local Edition with your host, Rose Caiazzo.
Hello and welcome. Today we're at NACO, the National Association of County Officials Conference. Visiting with us today is Powell County Commissioner Dan Sager from Deer Lodge, Montana. Welcome.
Thank you.
Excellent. We're glad to have you. Tell us more about the county you represent and how long you've been a county commissioner.
Well, Powell County is in western Montana. It's about halfway between on I-90 between Bozeman and Missoula, off Highway 12, kind of a major hub. There's rail access north-south, east and west. It's home of Montana State Prison. It's a rather long county. We go from Anaconda-Deer Lodge County border to Flathead County border on the north end. Majority of the north end of our county is in the Bob Marshall Wilderness area, so that is pretty much no man's land. Our population in Powell County is just under 7,000 people, and about 1,500 of them are incarcerated, which goes into our census also. So we're showing at about 3 people per square mile, but if you put them out, it'd be less than that. So it is pretty much an agricultural with the ranching, and then the timber industry was a big part of it, Forest Service, and there is one active sawmill still running in Powell County, which is a major employer, our largest private employer other than the prison. So it's kind of a little diverse, but we're kind of close to a lot of centers. We're 40 miles from Butte and about 80 miles from Missoula and 45 miles from Helena, so we get a lot of commuters through. You know, it's kind of a bedroom community. A lot of people live outside and work in Deer Lodge, or work outside and live in Deer Lodge. So it's kind of hard to, in that particular area. And then the north end is pretty much on Highway 200 across Montana, runs east to west, and so that gets a lot of traffic, grain shipments, and that trucking traffic, and then that is mostly agricultural, and then tourism with Bob and stuff up there. So it's kind of very diverse and very sparse populated.
So moving into the politics side and your job as a commissioner, when did you first get involved in politics?
Well, it was kind of on a whim. I've been a lifelong resident of Powell County, 5th generation in the Deer Lodge Valley. My family homesteaded there in the 1860s. So been pretty active. My dad served as a city councilman at one time, and I was in the timber industry for 38 years, and I was getting kind of burnt out on that, and it was time to kind of retire or do something different, and there was an opening in the county commissioner seat. The one in prior to me was retiring, so I threw my hat in the ring, and at that time there was 4 of us that applied for or filed for the candidacy. So I won, and it's been a very rewarding experience. It was totally out of my realm. I've been in it for 1.5 years now, and I'm enjoying it. I feel like, you know, I could bring some of my equipment knowledge and road building skills and that to my district, and we've had a great improvement of what we had, I believe, with our roads. I've got a new road supervisor, and he's works very well with me, and we're getting a lot of positive input on my district. So I feel like I can bring that to the table, and it's been very good. I've been enjoying it.
Wonderful to hear. And so tell us your views on budgets and also payments in lieu of taxes, also known as PILT, and secure rural schools, also known as SRS.
Right. And my wife and I owned a small business throughout the years. Last one was a flower shop we owned for about 10 years, and it was kind of a small business budgeting. And, you know, we, in the private sector, and then to get into the government sector, and it's just totally different. You know, our fiscal years July through June, and we're so dependent on our PILT and secure rural schools and the feds, and their budgeting cycle is in the fall. So we're trying to budget ahead without knowing what they're going to do, and with 49% of our county being federal land, we're very dependent on the PILT payments and the secure rural schools. And in 2010, our total combined PILT and SRS was about $1.5 million, and last year it was $822,000. So after it was funded, because there was a period there that it wasn't until last spring actually when it finally got funded for 15. So through reserves, we got to carry over. Powell County, we've been lucky to be able to carry the maximum, a third on most of our departments and everything for our reserves, and that carries us through the unknown time. But if some time those payments don't come or something, we're really going to be hurt. I'd much rather see timber receipts instead of the secure rural schools, which is 25% of timber receipts or forest receipts, which is the mining, the logging, whatever happens to come off the forest. But right now there is very little coming off the forest. At one time the local mill was probably about 80% federal supply, and now it's less than 10% federal. So it's a huge impact on our economy and puts it a lot on the private sector now for supplying the timber industry. But the payments in lieu of taxes, they've gone anywhere from 86 cents an acre down to 33 cents an acre. There's nothing steady with it. They don't, if we could get a fixed cost price that we were going to get every year, it would be very advantageous to us. But you never know from one year to the next and what it is going to be. So it's a very hard thing to budget around, because we've had to cut law enforcement and run extra mill levies and stuff to bring our law enforcement up to where we could have 5 officers on duty, and that's all we have for the whole county is five officers, and this including the sheriff, and to run a 24/7 department is very hard.
Thank you so much for sharing. Commissioner Sager, we appreciate you visiting with us today here on Charter Local Edition.
Thank you very much.
Charter Local Edition has been an exclusive presentation of Charter Communications.